28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
So God said one of the punishments or the curses or the things that he spoke against us for breaking his commandments is that we was going to become an astonishment. An astonishment is a great surprise or amazement, because the other nation of people know that we the greatest people on the earth. We as a people only know that we the greatest people on the earth when it comes to sports, when it comes to entertainment. We know LeBron James is the best basketball player in the world. We know Beyonce and Jennifer Hudson and some of these other sisters are the best singers in the world, but we don't think of ourselves as great in anything else. That's an astonishment. God said we will also become a proverb to the other nations. A proverb is a wise saying or statement that you say about somebody. So a proverb that they say about us black men is that when we have children, we don't take care of them. Now, does that mean that applies to every single black man? No, but there's a lot of brothers that don't do that. A proverb that they say about the so-called Hispanic man is that they carry knives, or a whole bunch of them live in one house and pile up in one car. Does that mean every single one of them do it? No, but that's one of the proverbs. And the key thing is a byword. Now remember this, a byword is any name given to you outside of the name that God gave you. God gave us names right here. If you look on this sign right there, you see those names? These are the names we was given in slavery on the left-hand side. American black, West Indian blacks, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans. But you see what God called us? He called us Judah, which means a praise of God. He called us Benjamin. He called us Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, so on and so forth. These are our true biblical names. This is why we destroyed as a people, because if we knew who we are, we would know what laws and statutes to follow. We would know that we the greatest people on the earth. So we're going to show you one of the proverbs in the Bible.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16, verse 44. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
So you see that? God said this is a proverb. As is the mother, meaning just how the mother was, so is her daughter. Now, you remember the old Juvenile song? It said, you get it from your mama. You don't remember that?
Listen to it.
Okay, all praises. I'm glad you don't. Well, he made a song. That's prophecy. As is the mother, so is the daughter. Just like what we see, a perpetual thing in our neighborhood, meaning something that happened over and over. When if chances are, if my mom was a baby mom, and then she raised us, and I had sisters, more than likely what's gonna happen to them? They gonna become what? Baby mama. As is the mother, so is the daughter. Do we not see that in our neighborhoods today?
Bring it out.
If my dad grew up and he was a drug dealer, and he got thrown in jail, and I was taught the same thing, chances are I'm gonna do what? And that's what you see in our neighborhoods, us doing the same thing. That's actually the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting to get a different result. Well, my dad sold drugs and he went to jail, but I'm gonna sell drugs and I'm gonna make it big. I'm gonna live in this nice house. So what's the chances of that? You're gonna get locked up or killed just like him. That's what happened to us. That's a proverb that the nations say about us. The same things that happen perpetually to us as a nation. So remember, God said a byword as well. That byword, that's what we was on. That is called out of your God-given name. Just like your name, Emery, you wouldn't answer me if I called you Damien, would you? Why? Because I'm not talking to you. That's like a diss to you, right? That's how it is when they call us African American. It's a diss to us. When they call our brothers Puerto Rican, that's a diss to them. That's not their real name. That's calling you out of your name. That's disrespectful. You get what I'm saying? That's what the other nations have done to us. But that's a curse that God gave, that God put on us as a nation. So now let's get to verse 48. We're going to get to some irrefutable evidence to show you that we are the only people that fit these curses or punishments in the Bible.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So now I want you to listen very carefully to this, Emery. It says, therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against you. So who sent our enemies against us?
Against God.
Exactly. Let's read it again.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So now, remember, you said it right. That's exactly what the scripture says. God sent our enemies against us, but why? Remember in Deuteronomy 28:15 we read, but it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hearken, if thou wilt not listen to the voice of the Lord thy God to observe to do all his statutes and commandments, that all these curses are going to come upon thee. One of those curses was the wrath of God, him being angry with us. So God sent our enemies against us because we did not want to serve him with a joyful and gladness of a heart. So now let's read on.
In hunger.
In what?
In hunger.
So now you got a Taco Bell hat. You probably came from work, right? That's one dude. Is Taco Bell owned by the nation of Israel, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians? What about McDonald's? What about Burger King? You see the common thing. What about Walmart? That's owned by Sam Walton. We don't own that. That's a white man. Publix, same thing. Trader Joe's, the farmers market, that's owned by another nation of people. God said you're going to have to serve your enemies, go to another nation of people when you're hungry for food. You understand that? Read on.
And in thirst.
So now, Aquafina, Gatorade made right here in the good old Gainesville, Florida, at the University of Florida. Who made that? Who makes the money off of it? The so-called white man. That's what God called them, your enemy, though. You see that? All the other nations, Aquafina, we don't own none of that. If you don't pay your GRU bill, what happens? Do our nation of people own that? No. You understand that? Read on.
And in nakedness and in want of all things.
So in nakedness as well, because our clothing, we don't produce that stuff. We got to go to another nation of people to put clothes on our back. We got to buy it from them. That was a curse or a punishment. And read on.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
So now if somebody wants to say, because our people try to be smart, they'll say, well, that applies to all the nations in America. Because the so-called white man he runs America. So that applies to everybody. Chinese man got to go to him. Arab man got to go to him. Everybody got to go to him. But let's read that last part again.
And he,
meaning the same enemy that you go to in food, hunger, and thirst, and nakedness, and nakedness, he gonna put a yoke of iron upon your neck. When have you seen any slave movies? You see these yokes of iron right here. We sold what? On the auction block. We didn't willingly just go and get on the auction block, did we? We didn't willingly just put ourselves into captivity and allow a certain man to rule over us. They had to force it upon us. They beat it into us and they had us enslaved in slave chains. That's what happened. Because when you see the movie Birth of a Nation, you seen that before? What about Roots? You seen that?
I just seen Roots like recently.
Okay, it's a reason for that. It's all coming together. What happened in Roots? Who had yokes of iron upon them?
Black man.
You ain't see no Chinese people in there in Roots? No Arab people in Roots? No white people in Roots with chains on their neck? This show you, this is a sign to identify who the Israelites are today. The so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. The Hispanics actually went into slavery as well before the so-called African Americans.
That's right.
When you know the history in 1492, they came over here on their own will, but then that's where you have the story where the conquistadors followed them and then enslaved them. That's where you get Thanksgiving today, just to make it plain. Because Thanksgiving is what? The celebration of the conquering of America by the who? The so-called white man. Well, who did they steal the land from? Our Native Indian and Hispanic brothers. They stole the land. They try to say that Christopher Columbus, he discovered the new land, but how can you discover something when somebody's already there? You see how that makes sense? But they teach that to us in school, and then we just believe it. So what we out here do is teach our people the truth. This is history, and it's going right along with the same Bible that they used to enslave us and took and isolated certain scriptures and wouldn't tell us the truth. We got that same Bible today, and God put the Spirit upon us to be able to understand it, so we know what our duty is on this earth, why we in the conditions we are. So read what you got.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 22, verse 13. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness,
So you hear that? It says woe. Woe means destruction. Destruction to him that buildeth his house or everything that he has by unrighteousness. Meaning, the so-called white man, how did he build what he had in America? He came and stole it. He built his house, his land up by unrighteousness. Because when you read just in one of the 10 commandments, what commandment is that? When you take something that belongs to somebody else. Thou shalt not steal, right? Exactly. That's what God's saying right there. Destruction to that same man that stole and conquered the land. Read on.
And his chambers by Rome, that useth his neighbor's servants without wages.
So now, when if I force you to work for me and I didn't pay you, what is that called? Slavery. Who did that happen to? Us, the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. But we are the Israelites according to the Bible. As a matter of fact, what would your father call himself? Your biological father. What would he call himself? Like an African American, a Jamaican, Haitian, you don't know? Probably African American? Okay. Let's get the book of Hebrews. You get what you got, and we'll get the book of Hebrews.
I'm just gonna show you the law.
Oh yeah, let's get that. We'll get the law on slavery as well. Because remember, we just read destruction is going to come to a man that builded his house by wrong, by unrighteousness. Meaning, he did it unrighteously. He didn't go out and work for it. He didn't discover it himself and claim it. He stole it. And that use of his neighbor's service without wages. That's slavery. That's what they did to us. Only us. You never read a history book that said the Chinese was enslaved by the so-called white man that had yokes of iron upon his necks. Or the Arab man, that happened to him. Or no other nation. So we're going to read to you the law of God. That they took and isolated and gave you another law, but they'll never read this. Read what you got.
Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man.
So when you steal a man, read on.
And selleth him.
And do what?
And selleth him.
And selleth him, because that's what they did. They stole us and they did what? Put us on the auction block. Nigga sold. That's what they did to us. They put us on the auction block. But now let's see the judgment for that. Read on.
Or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
You hear that? He shall surely be put to death. And this is why it's important that we know that our Messiah, the so-called, he's from the tribe of Judah. He would be, if Christ was walking the earth, he would be a so-called African American, just like me or you, or a black, or a Negro, or a nigger, because that's what they call us as well. He would be mistaken for one of those, but he's coming back to redeem his people, and all the same people. As a matter of fact, let's get Revelations 13 and 10. We're going to show you what's going to happen to all those same people, then we're going to jump right back to the point.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity.
So the same man that took us, put yokes of iron upon our neck, enslaved us, he led us into captivity. Read on.
Shall go into captivity.
Who did that to us? The so-called white man. The so-called Arab man done it to us. The so-called African man did it to us. The so-called Chinese man did it to us. Japanese man. All the nations have done this to us before. At one point in time in history. Read on.
Yes. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
So he that leadeth into captivity must go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Now, this show you that this is a future prophecy, because when did the so-called white man go into slavery and have slave chains on his neck? By the same black man that he enslaved. When did we put them in slavery? That means this is a future prophecy. This is something that is going to happen once Christ returns.
Bring it out.
The black Messiah. This is the hope. This is the gospel. That we ain't going to stay slaves here in America. You ain't going to always have to work hard labor at Taco Bell. Or none of our other brothers on the hard jobs that we work for chump change. Minimum wages. You understand that? We're not going to have to do that forever. According to the Bible. Just like God said we was going to go into slavery, we went into slavery. Just like we said we was going to have to serve our enemies, we served our enemies. But it's not going to be like that forever. But now we're going to show you how it's going to change though. Let's get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 12. Now that you know you're an Israelite, and we're going to give you some laws, this is how it's going to change. It's an order to the whole process. We're not just going to skip all the way to point Z where we put the other nations in slavery. We got to go through the whole process, A all the way through.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 12. And now Israel.
And now Emory, because you know you're an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. Read on.
What doth the Lord thy God require of thee?
So God has a requirement for you. It was not an accident that you walked past here and you seen the prophets and we talking to you and your spirit is bearing witness that you are the children of the slave trade. Your spirit is bearing witness that you are the same children that go to your enemies in one of all things. It's a reason for that. God has a requirement for you, but we're going to read it out of the Bible, not give you our interpretation like the church does.
But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord.
So it says to keep the commandments of the Lord. That is the requirement. To love the Lord and keep his commandments. That's the requirement for you, Emory. Read on.
And his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
You hear what God said? It's for thy good, meaning for your good, Emory, because if you, just like you work in a job, that's an honest living. That's actually you keeping the commandment by doing that. Think about if you were selling drugs. God said, keep the commandments for thy good. Selling drugs is against God. And what happens? God said, keep it for your good, because when you sell drugs, another brother might shoot you down in the street. That ain't for your good right there. Another brother might rob you. You might get locked up. You see how when you keep the laws, you stay away from all the evil? As a matter of fact, get Proverbs 4 and 23.
Bring it out.
We're going to show you. I mean, what? Is that what I want? This is like 4:22.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
4:22.
We're going to show you this. You got to keep the commandments of God. We're going to show you some commandments.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 23. Keep thy heart with all diligence.
So it says, keep thy heart with all diligence. According to the Bible, when you read Mark 7 and 21, the heart is your mind. Because you don't think with this right here. This just pumps blood. But we've been taught through slavery, we've been taught through philosophy that your heart is good. But your heart is a vessel. It pumps blood, that's all it is. It's a vessel. Your heart don't do the thinking, your mind does the thinking. As a matter of fact, we're going to prove that in the scripture. You see me grab it? Jeremiah? Yeah. We're going to show you what the heart is according to the Bible.
Bring it out.
What your heart and what your mind is.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
So it says the heart is deceitfully wicked. Desperate. It's desperate because we are a people that are wise to do evil, like the Most High said. Meaning we know spiritually, even if we don't see thou shalt not, we know it's wrong to sleep with another man's wife. But you know what we'll do? We'll be like, well, you know what? He ain't treating her good, you know. He beating on her. He doing this. And we would justify the evil that we would do, sleep with another man's wife, because of something else, because of our own lust. That's why the heart is deceitfully wicked. The heart is deceitfully wicked for our brothers because they'll say, well, I gotta feed my family, so I'm gonna come rob Emory. I'm gonna come rob Aaron. That's wicked as hell. But that's what we've been taught to do. That's why God said your heart is deceitfully wicked. Don't listen to your heart. God said, let me do the thinking for you. So now let's go back to Proverbs chapter 4.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
When God says keep your heart, he's saying keep your mind on the laws, statutes, and commandments. Because when you don't have it, because he said for out of it, when your mind not on God's laws and when it's on something else, that's where the issues of life come from. Because when your mind is not on God's laws, that's where evil comes in. That's where wickedness comes in. So you choose to use your own deceitful, desperate heart and do the own thinking for yourself. That's when we sleep with somebody else's wife. That's when we rob another brother. That's when we have hatred for another brother. This is how our communities have been destroyed. And you know, because you bear witness with it. You see it happen all the time. This only happens to us as a nation of people. This is why it's important for us to keep the commandments for thy good. Now let me give you a law. Let's get the book of Numbers chapter 15, verse 38.
Bring it out.
Because what you see on all these brothers' garments, the bottom, these are what you call fringes. And you'll see a border of blue right here. You see that? It's real tiny. You can't see. Here it go.
Yeah.
You can see it? That border of blue. This is actually a commandment in the Bible. And we're going to read it to you. You see how your eyebrows went up? Because you're like, dang, I never even heard that before. Exactly. I didn't either. But all praise to the Most High. The Most High is showing you today so you can repent, because that's what real repentance is. Now that you know, you're going to apply. You're going to do what God told you to do. So let's read that.
The book of Numbers chapter 15 verse 38.
Bring it out.
Speak unto the children of Israel.
You hear that? Once again, you probably never, you've been to church before? How many times you heard the children of Israel? You probably heard it in the last few minutes more than you've been heard it in church before. I know I never heard of the children of Israel in church. All my years of going. So read on.
And bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments.
So God said, speak unto the children of Israel and command them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments. That's why you see all these brothers with fringes in the borders of their garments. Read on.
Throughout their generations. And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue.
So God said, throughout our generations. Are we still generating as a people? Aren't we still here? Ain't we still making babies? We still generating. So therefore, it's still a commandment for us to follow. God said, as long as you're still generating, throughout your generations, keep these fringes on. It's a reason why they're here, and we're going to read it. Read on.
And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them.
So you hear that? This is the whole reason God made us, gave us a commandment to wear these fringes. He said, look upon the fringe and remember all the commandments that I gave you. Because you know what happened? Like we read earlier, when you don't have your fringes on, your mind is already deceitfully wicked. So if you have a wife, for instance, or even if you don't have a wife, and you see a sister walking down the street, she might have a shape, and you know our sisters don't wear clothes anyway nowadays. What happens when you look at her? Let's get Matthew 5 and 27. We're coming right back.
Bring it out.
What happens when you look at her and she don't got no clothes on? Got her butt hanging out, got her breast all out. What happens to it? What happens then? What goes through your mind? Lust, exactly. Same thing with any of us. Don't think it's just you. We all have battled with it before. We all still battle with it from time to time. But that's why we have this here. Because when I see that sister, I know I got a wife. So guess what I do? I look at my fringe and I say, damn. I'm an Israelite, I gotta keep the commandments of God for my good. Because you know what? My lust might lead me to get that sister number, then sleep with that sister. Next thing you know, I got HIV. Is that for my good? No, but God said if you just follow my laws, that's for your good. You ain't gotta worry about getting HIV.
That's
syphilis,
right.
Gonorrhea. You ain't gotta worry about being no baby daddy. Because after you sleep with the sister, you might not even like her. But then 9 months later, guess what? I'm pregnant, Emery. You don't want one of them calls, do you? So you got one. So guess what? Now learn, so you bear witness even to that. So now you got to be a wise man, Emery, and learn from that mistake and don't let it happen again. You understand that? All right, read what you got.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that it is said by them of all time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
That's one of the 10 commandments. Now read on. It's Christ speaking.
But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
You know what God said? He said if you look on a woman and lust after her, you already committed adultery in your heart. Why? In your wicked mind. You already committed that adultery. This is why it's important for us to keep the commandments of the Most High. Because exactly what happened to you, it has happened to a lot of our brothers. They are baby daddies now. But that's not the end all be all for you, Emery. That's not the end all be all for you. You can find a woman. You dealing with anybody else? You got a woman? Okay, that's actually a good thing, because it's time for you to get yourself together so when the Most High send you the right woman, you know exactly what to do, so that you prohibit you and her from being a baby mama or a baby daddy again. You marry her and make her your wife, and you be her husband. That's a beautiful thing in the eyes of the Lord. And that's one of the biggest reasons we destroy as a community today. Because our black men and Hispanic men do not marry our women. Therefore, we have a perpetual thing of our young men and women growing up in single parent households, and mama can't really teach you. Mama can't teach you how to be a man. And if mama never been taught how to be a real woman, if she never been taught how to be a real woman, how can she teach her daughter the same thing? It can't happen. So there you already have a destroyed nation, because you don't have a foundation of a man, a woman, and then the children. You just got mama raising the kids. Mama got to work, so the kids fending for themselves. Is that not us as a nation of people? This is showing you that the Bible is only written to the Israelites. All the people that fit those same punishments, those same curses, go through these same atrocities, this is who God is talking to. You fit that mold. I fit that mold. All the brothers you see before you, we fit that mold. That's how we know who we are. But the only reason we in this condition is because, remember, we read in verse 15. We broke God's commandments. That's the key. So now we have to return back to God's laws and keep all his laws for our good. So we gave you the law on fringes. We just gave you another law because a lot of our brothers tell you, you can look, but don't touch. That ain't what God said. God said, don't look, because that lust is going to lead to other things. And then you're going to mess around and catch something. You're going to mess around and be a baby daddy. You understand that? So we're going to get you another law. Leviticus, you got one? Yeah, let's go to Leviticus chapter 21, verse 5. We're going to show you some more laws. And then we're going to show you the Sabbath day. That's very important as well.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 21, verse 5. They shall not make baldness upon their head.
So it says, let's read it again.
They shall not make baldness upon their head.
So this is speaking to the children of Israel. Remember, all the laws and statutes given to us for our good. God said that we cannot make baldness upon our head, meaning we cannot shave our heads bald. That's actually a law. But you wouldn't think so. Yes. Let's read it one more time.
I thought the opposite.
They shall not make baldness.
So now let's break it down word by word. It says they shall not. So what does that mean already?
And then the people.
Yeah, the people, the Israelites shall not mean what? Don't do, right? Don't do this. We don't
make baldness upon their head.
So how do we make baldness upon our head? Baldness now. How do we make baldness? Exactly. So God said we shall not do that. Meaning, if you have hair and you naturally go bald, that's one thing. But you ain't supposed to have the Michael Jordan look, the Floyd Mayweather look, the Tyrese look. They shave their heads off. That's an old tradition that they learned. They don't even understand where it comes from. The white man teaches them that today, but that came from the Africans a long time ago. That's why you always see them with the shaving heads. They might have the one little piece of hair back there. The Chinese follow that as well. You see that with like a lot of the monks and stuff. If you watch any Chinese movie, what they do, they shave their hair off and then in one place. Exactly. That's their custom. That's not a custom of the Israelites. This is our custom. This is our true heritage. This is the law that was given to us to make us different, to make us holy unto the Lord. This is why it was given to us. Read on. So remember, no baldness upon the head.
Neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard.
So God said, neither shall you shave off the corner of your beard, meaning you cannot mar your beard. Shave your beard completely off. Now, if you have a lot of hair, just like, okay, these brothers, you can trim it down, but you can still visibly see their beard, right? God said, no, you ain't supposed to be walking around here with no baby face. Like me, for example, I can only grow what I grow right now, but I'm not shaving that off, just like you. Exactly. What you got, keep on your face. It's a badge of manly dignity. The so-called white man, they force us a lot of times to shave our faces in these jobs. Why? It goes into the homosexuality that they had as well, because they used to sleep with each other. And how close can you get to the depiction of a woman? Women don't have no goatee. Women don't have no full beard, do they?
Nah, that's crazy.
You see?
That's crazy.
That was part of their one of the reasons was part of their homosexuality. The Romans, they used to sleep with each other. The warriors, this part of their history. They used to say the warriors, the way they get close, they have sex with each other. Well, one man didn't want to have sex with another man and kiss on another man with all the hair on his face. That's part of their custom. That has nothing to do with the Israelites. But they taught us that, you understand? That's not our custom, so that's another law for you. So now let's get the Sabbath day. This is another law right here, Exodus 20 and 8. This is a very important law, very important law. Now that you know you're an Israelite, read that.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
So now, a lot of times when we read that in church, because I remember reading that in church, I skipped over the whole first part. Remember. What I read was the Sabbath day is holy. It said, remember the Sabbath day. It is a holy day unto the Lord thy God. God said remember because he knew when we went through this right here, in slavery, had these yokes of iron upon our neck, in the 1400s and in the 1600s on up, that Christianity was going to be beaten to our people, and we was going to be taught what you call Sunday worship. Not the true Sabbath day, because the true Sabbath day is Friday night sundown through Saturday night sundown. Because the day actually starts when the sun goes down. Hence, when you read Genesis, remember? When you're back in the beginning, God said the evening and the morning were the first day. The evening, then the morning were the second day. The evening, you see how the evening keeps coming first? That was the beginning of the day. You understand that?
A little bit. I may need you to explain.
All right, let's go to it real quick. Let's go to it. Because this was part of the crafty counsel. They knew when they taught us another day to serve our God, or tell us we could serve our God any day, we was going to be doing what? Breaking his commandments, because he gave a specific instruction. Let's read that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So now you got two parts of the day. You got the evening and the morning. But which one did God say came first? The evening. So evening, in chronological order, just like you got 1 to 10, starting at your left, the evening is what? The beginning. The morning was what? The latter part of the day. You understand that? So the evening and the morning were the first day. It started at sundown. That's when the first day actually started. Day one. You understand that? Then you have the evening and the morning, the second day. In chronological order, evening started the beginning of the day. The morning was the latter part of the day. So we've been taught, let's get Daniel as a matter of fact. We're going to show you, it's going to make more sense. Daniel chapter 7. Because a lot of things have been twisted upside down today. But this was all against the Israelites. Everything was designed to keep us in sin, keep us in the breaking of God's laws, because they knew as long as we keep these people in sin, they're going to have to come to us for food, hunger and thirst and nakedness and one of all things.
Bring it out.
Exactly. We're going to still have them in slavery mentally as a people, as long as we keep them in the condition we got them in. So we can't let them wake up. But now, the prophets are out to teach the people that we are the greatest people and we are going to come out of this condition, but it's only one way, by applying what God told us. So let's read that.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
This is talking about the so-called white man. It said he shall speak great words against the Most High. Why? Because when you look today, he sets himself up as God. That's why you got that image there. That he put himself as a white man, as Jesus Christ. So therefore, by common sense, our people think, well, if Jesus Christ is a white man, his father must be what? A white man. Read on.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
So it says, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. The saints are the Israelites according to Psalms 148 and 14. How did he wear us out? Through slavery. We got wore the hell out. We still getting wore out today because we still work the hard laborers jobs and bringing the least amount of money. We still going through hell right now.
Bring it out.
Wearing us out. Read on.
And think to change times.
And think to do what?
Change times.
He changed the time from the beginning of the day being at sundown to now it's at 12 o'clock midnight. way 5, 6, 7 hours after the sun already then went down. You understand that? He changed the times. Read on.
And laws, and they shall be given into his hands until a time and times and the dividing of time.
So it says he changed laws and times. Another one of the times he changed is that he tells you that New Year's is in the dead of the winter.
Bring it out.
How? That don't even make sense. Nothing new in the earth can grow when it's 13 damn degrees outside. You see that?
I didn't even think of that.
Exactly. I didn't either. But that's why the Most High sent the prophets to teach us. And that's what we learned straight out of the Bible. These are God's words. He said that same man that put them yokes of iron upon your necks was going to change the day. It was no longer going to be sundown. It was going to be 12 a.m. The beginning of the year was no longer going to be in the spring, which is coming up, which is the beginning of months, Passover, a high holy day, a commandment that was given to you, Emery, and the rest of the Israelites. But that the beginning of winter, the birth of it, the birth of Christ is when? During the end of the winter in December. That's what they say. But no, Christ was born in the spring. He changed that around too. He changed around a lot of stuff. He changed around the laws that God gave us. Look what he's doing right now. He's saying that homosexuality is okay in America. But they have the same Bible in their court. And when you go into the court system, before they finna give one of us 30, 40, 100 gorilla years, they say, put your hand on the Bible and swear to tell the truth. The same Bible that you won't even listen to, though. The same Bible that you won't even apply, and you say homosexuality is okay. But when you read in the Bible, what does God say about that?
It's an abomination.
It's an abomination, exactly. You see the contradictory?
Psalms 50:17.
Yeah.
You see the contradictory right there? He changed the laws and the times. So when we keep the Sabbath day, we're going to read this, then we're going to go back to the Sabbath day. When we keep the Sabbath day, God said the evening in the morning. So the beginning of the day is what? The evening. That's when the sun goes down, that's what actually starts the day. But the so-called white man changed it. That's why in our minds we are confused. But now you know the truth about it. That's actually starting the day. Read what you got.
The book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or what thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee.
You hear that? God said, what does the wicked have to do with anything in this Bible? Because you cast my instructions from the same Bible behind you, meaning you don't follow it. Because you have the same Israelite man or woman in that court system put their hand on the Bible, but then you unrighteously judge them. You would steal their land. How they judging anything? You stole this land from our people. Every single Edomite, every single person of every nation that's in the land of America and all over this earth right now is on stolen property.
That's right.
That property belongs to us.
Bring it out.
It don't belong to other nations or people. It only belongs to us. God made the whole world for our sakes. Remember we read that earlier in Jeremiah. Remember God said he gave all the ordinances. As long as the ordinance is still here, so when the sun rises and sets, the stars come out, as long as they still here, his people are still here, the chosen people. So read what you got.
The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
You hear that? Meaning the earth is ruled by the wicked. The so-called white man is ruling the earth. Let's prove it further. Never mind, read what you got.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
You hear that? It said he covered the faces of the judges. Who are the real judges? That's us. That's why the scriptures say that the saints are going to judge the earth. But he covered our faces. How? He gives us the stuff that one religion, he covered our faces with that. He gave us religion. That's why we don't even know what the Sabbath day is anymore. He gave us religion. We don't even know what our God looks like. We the only nation of people, I said this earlier. What other nation of people serve a God that don't look like them besides us? Is that true or not, Emery?
No, that's real.
That's exactly.
That's real.
We the only people that show you how destroyed we are. He covered our faces. Now he gave us something false and we follow it. Read what you got.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48.
Bring it out.
and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images.
So it says he laid open the book of the law. The book of the law is the Bible. And it says the heathen sought out to paint their images in the same likenesses. So guess what? Even though it says in Revelations 1:14, you can read it right there. His head and his hairs were white like wool. So white in color and wool in texture, as white as snow, and his feet were as brass as if it burned in a furnace. So you take a derivative of brown and you burn it, what happens? It's gonna get lighter or darker. So how the hell do we got this image right here of white man Jesus with dog hair? How do you have that? That's Caesar Borgia. They painted his image in our book. They painted our image they painted their image in our book. That's a prophecy. Christ never looked like that. As a matter of fact, on most of those, see, those are throwback pictures. When you see the modern day white man Jesus, this is how you know people in Christianity don't even think. He don't even have no facial hair. So how could his beard get ripped out like you read in the Gospels? You see that? How this same white man Jesus with no facial hair get his beard ripped out? But that show you how our faces are covered like we read. We have no understanding. But this is why we out here, to teach our people the truth. You learning the truth right now, and now you got a job though. You got to keep God's commandments.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.